Sopwith aircraft that we build are originally equipped with rotary engines. Many people have heard about Mazda, and they think of Mazda automobile with a rotary engine. Those are actually a Wankel engine. In the case of a rotary engine of the period, the entire crankshaft is fixed and the engine rotates around the crankshaft. Propeller is bolted to the crankshaft and spins at a constant RPM. Normally they operate at full RPM or full horsepower the entire time the aircraft is in flight. Rotary engines were actually some of the most dependable engines in early aeroplanes. Prior to the entrance of rotary engines used in aeroplanes, most aero engines of the time were very undependable, heavy, and failed on a frequent basis. The first rotary engines produced for aircraft were the Gnome Omega, which is kind of an interesting engine, had an exhaust valve and had an intake valve at the top of the piston. It was not a very dependable engine, but compared to other engines of the time, it was a great leap forward. It enabled many aircraft, like the Blériot, which previously had a flight time of 20 to 25 minutes, to all of a sudden be able to fly matters of hours. By the time the Great War came around, engines had developed, such as this no monosopapi, which stands for single valve. This engine was rated at 100 horsepower. This engine also burns a combination of gasoline and castor oil being the oil that is a full loss system that is injected into the crankshaft with the gasoline in a very rich mixture in the engine crankshaft. It is then sucked into the cylinders and exhausted without an exhaust manifold. So the exhaust manifold is actually the underside of the aircraft, where you hope that most of the exhaust disappears. Aircraft at this time flew for great distances, frequently as many as 4 to 6 hours at a time, using a single-engined rotary engine aircraft. So these aircraft also flew in patrols as high as 20,000 feet. Another unique feature is people think that they were not throttleable. There were some versions of rotary engines that did actually have carburetors and could be throttled up and down. The no monosopapi was not one of those examples. Early engines like this have a cutout switch located on the joystick. The pilot would come in for landing and could cut the switch to kill the engine so he could slow down for a stop. Later versions of the same engine had as much as 180 horsepower and had a switch that could cut out up to every third or sixth revolution, so they could cut out the engine power down to about a third as much as would normally be available on a full power engine.